Hello and welcome. It's currently Boxing Day today, so hello. Hope you had a good Christmas yesterday. And of course, the bullshit doesn't stop just because it's Christmas. And I am trying to catch up with all of the stories I have saved. So it's quite difficult to keep up with it because there are so many of them and they're all related to certain topics. Some topics that we have to be very careful what we talk about on YouTube, unfortunately, but we can put them on. There is going to be a video uploaded onto the other platforms. We have Rumble, Odyssey, BitChute and OurTube. So there's those platforms there, which are not censored. And you'll be able to watch this video called New World Order Beginner's Guide. And I do recommend that you go over there and have a little watch of that video, because it will help you understand what's going on in this video. So this video today is about digital ID. It's all related to the idea of New World Order and what they want to do. And of course the UN Agenda 2030, which is discussed in the other video. So you better go and watch that first and then come back here. Now I haven't put it on YouTube because I'm not too sure whether it will get banned or not. So I'm not going to risk it. It's just safer for me to put it on the other platforms rather than here and risk the idea of a strike on my account. Digital ID is a crux of the matter with the whole agenda, because without that they can't really implement any of the other stuff, because it's all controlled by, they're all interrelated, put it that way. And of course the danger is that we have a society at the moment that's very compliant, and I'm thinking especially the Asian market and my wife's country, Thailand. When I go there I despair, because everybody's on their mobile phone. They all pay on their mobile phone. They don't think twice about what the plan is. They don't think twice about how they're being controlled by their phone. But everybody's on their phone. Literally, there is nobody, even children are on their phones. They are addicted to their phones. Now, we could argue the same thing, that they are addicted to their phones here as well, because I don't know anybody, well, on the older generation maybe, that really doesn't have time for a mobile phone and they just use it for phone calls. So that's one of the reasons for them. However, because they're super easy to use, you put the apps on them. And I'm guilty of that as well. I put the apps on there for collecting points. So, things that I use like Slim Chickens and my Subway points and all of this, and I get points for that and the other. So I'm just a guilty. So I have actually refused to put my banking on my phone, because I think it's just one step too far. We had recently, in the last 2 or 3 years, you may recall, they were trying to introduce this idea that you would have to get a pass on your phone for your particular health issues. So if you didn't have a good health point of view, then you had a problem with doing stuff like going into pubs and going into restaurants and things like this. All done on your mobile phone. Of course, that didn't really work out very well, because I think the objectors won, and it was never put in place. And of course a lot of people were up in arms about it, and of course I think they had to back down in terms of that. Of course that was one test they put in place to see how many people would argue. A lot of people did. So they've had to come up with a different way, a different plan, and the way to do it is to target the younger people who are addicted by their phones and will be quite happy to have an app on their phone to be able to do this, that and the other, and they won't think twice about the consequences of that, and of course the ensuing slavery that you're going to involve in having an app on your phone. Now bear in mind that young people are very much, well, more compliant, put it that way, because they've been brought up with it. And the government they know this, and this whole thing about coming in the back door in order to get the the whole process of digital ID in place. And then, of course, don't forget, it won't be mandatory like everything else that they've done. It's not mandatory, but you have to have it. This is what happened with 3 or 4 years ago when we had that. It wasn't mandatory, but you have to have it. And of course, everybody did. And there was a minority of people that didn't. What will this mean for people? Well, digital ID is a form of control, obviously, but it will interlink with everything else. So imagine this situation that you have your digital ID on your phone and you can prove who you are. That's the first step. Instead of having a driving license and a passport and things like this and banking on your phone to prove who you are, you have an app and it says yes or no.
Right, mate?
Right, mate. Can I get a pint of lager, please?
Yeah, of course. Can I just see some ID?
Yeah, no worries.
It's got it somewhere here.
Hi, can I have a pint of Christmas cracker, please?
Certainly.
I know it's a surprise for everyone, but I don't get asked for my ID anymore. But for loads of young people, they get asked all the time when they want to buy a drink. So we're changing the law so that next Christmas, young people will have their ID on their phone, so they won't have all of the hassle of needing to get ID or leaving their ID at home or their paper ID getting lost or damaged. There's already 50 digital apps like this one. But what it means is that bar staff can scan to prove somebody's identity and it doesn't give away any personal information. So it means that giving your ID is safer than it's ever been before. Changes like these are going to create economic growth for our country, which is key to our plan for change.
There you are.
Great, thanks. You can put it on the tab. So this means by next Christmas, buying a pint will be a little bit easier.
Great. Yeah, all good. There you go, mate.
Cheers.
£7.20, please. London prices. Merry Christmas.
But think about this, people don't want mobile phones. And what happens when you haven't got internet access? Because it's not reliable, not 100% anyway. So how does that affect you? Well, if you haven't got it, then you won't be able to do anything else. And what they're talking about here in this video is that they're going to bring it in for pubs. So young people want to go for a drink in a pub. I mean, that's presuming that in a year's time pubs are still around, because they're hammering pubs, they're putting prices up, they are taxing them out of the market area, and people are not really going to pubs anymore. This is what they've done. This is deliberate. To get rid of pubs. Pubs are places where people go to chat, have a drink, enjoy themselves, have fun. Of course, this Labour government are the same as every other government. They don't want you to have fun. You're not supposed to have fun. You're not supposed to get together, because when you're together, you can have a chat and find out what's going on. And some people will say, "Oh, did you hear about this? What they're doing?" And some people say, "Oh no, I didn't know about that." "Oh, thank you for telling me." So it is a danger for them if we have people getting together. So isolation is quite important in the plan. And this digital ID is part of that, because you won't be able to go in the pub and have a drink without it. Again, remember, it's not mandatory at the moment, right? But it will be. So bear that in mind. You might be saying to yourself, talking a lot of crap again. No, think about it. This plan's been around for a long, long time, many years, and it's finally coming into the forefront of this. The whole situation is being made more aware, and they're doing it via the back door. But young people who are quite happy with phones and apps and going to the pub, and they have to prove their ID anyway. If they look young, they will be asked for ID. So they'll probably say to themselves, "Oh, well, I've got to have ID anyway, so I may as well have it on my phone." Okay, so digital ID linked to your social credit score. Again, another dystopian idea that we've mentioned before, but you might not believe, but it's actually true. It's all about your credits and your carbon tax that you know, how many carbon credits you've used, how many times you've had meat, for example. That will boost your, it will remove your points. If you've been naughty, and you've obviously heard about the various problems that people have had for posting on Facebook, and they've got arrested and put in jail. Yeah, you've heard all that. It's all true. Now think about that. If you did that and you got arrested and your points went down, it's all linked to your digital ID. So you would have a record of your social credit score. So all the naughty people who aren't complying will have a low score. What does that mean to you? Well, it means that you won't be able to do things. You won't be able to travel. You won't be able to buy tickets. And eventually, when this comes in, unless you say no, then shops. It'll be linked to shops as well. Shops, you know, scanning your QR code in order to buy food. If you want to buy pizza, for example, or you want to buy meat, and they, obviously there's an agenda there to ban meat, isn't there? You've heard about this, right? They want to get rid of cattle by the back door again. They want to get rid of cattle, and they want to get rid of farming because they want to control it. They want all this money, and bear in mind that fake meat is made by a company, and if you look at the research that people have done, you'll see that the company that owns the product that they're putting into the cattle feed, the bovia, is actually made by a company who makes fake meat. So, you know, they're making fake meat. Why would they want real meat? Yeah, it's all linked. You have to really, really open your eyes and really understand what is going on with this whole thing. And it's coming in. It's all coming in. The plan is there. It's on the road. We're now putting our foot on the accelerator, and to be perfectly blunt, they're accelerating because they're getting worried that people are realising what is going on and that they will say no. And that's all it takes, to say no. Don't agree, don't do it, don't put the app on your phone, don't comply. It may well be a little bit inconvenient for a little while, but eventually, as with the other thing that was for travel, if you remember that, you had to have the certain piece of paper or a certain app, then, you know, that eventually died.
A good score brings benefits, but people with low scores lose rights. The cinema names and shames people considered untrustworthy, plastering their details, even their addresses, across big screens.
It's a matter of principle. Those people have to be condemned.
Those people aren't honest, so they have to pay the price.
It's only right to pay your debts. You have to blacklist those that don't.
The Supreme Court has created a blacklist for so-called bad citizens, those whose ratings have dropped to zero. On it are companies, but also 23 million people to date. Among them is this journalist Liu Hu. He got a little too close to uncovering corruption among high-profile party members. After being sued for defamation by the subject of a story he'd written, he was blacklisted. But he only realized when he tried to buy a train ticket and was told he was banned from traveling.
That tells me I'm still on the blacklist.
Punished because he's been branded untrustworthy by the state.
Once you're blacklisted, you can no longer get a bank loan, start a business, buy an apartment, or even send your children to a private school.
Liu Hu is among a tiny minority of people who have dared to criticize the system, which some are calling a digital dictatorship.
I worry, because I think many people like me will be deprived of individual freedoms.
So there's been stories about this for many, many years, and China obviously leading the way. But you can see that the guy posted something as a journalist, and he now has a bad score. It's going to happen, and anybody that says it won't happen in the UK is living in cloud cuckoo land. Yeah, you need to get real and understand that this thing is quite drastically coming in. It's quite dangerous as well, because once it's in, it ain't going to go. As I say, at the moment, they're saying, as with anything else, oh no, it's not mandatory, you don't have to have it, but, yeah, and what they will do is they will put the emphasis on the pub itself. They will mandate that you have to have this check, like they did with the restaurants, but most restaurants said, stick it up your ass, mate. A lot of them did comply. A lot of the nightclubs complied, and then it all died out. This is because they didn't have enough support. And of course, don't forget, it's all part of the plan. So anyway, this Vietnam story, I'm going to try and find the article. I don't know, at the moment I haven't got it, but it was a story about how they are doing the digital ID, and they are forcibly, and I mean that in the word forcibly, taking people's fingerprints. So in the street, you know, if they find that you haven't got an ID, police are going to come, they're going to hold you down, and they're going to take your biometrics, right? Now, some people would say, well, that's okay. We need to know who's a bad person, who's a criminal. Why? We've been many years with this and it doesn't work. How many people are coming through Heathrow, for example, they know who they are, but they still get away with it. So it doesn't work. And doing it forcibly means that this person now is on the system, and no doubt, because he refused the initial chance, that his points are now very, very zero. So bear that in mind. Anyway, that's the thing that's coming in, and you can still say no. It's still possible. I do recommend that you do say no. Don't download the app. Don't do the app. It's the same as this. We had that big emergency app thing that they would alarm, and people said, oh yeah, that's no problem, we'll have that. And lots of people said no, and they turned it off. Because what's the point? We've never had it. I'm 63 years old. We've never had this thing where somebody used to tell me that there's rain. The other day it went off. It was pissing down with rain. I was in my car, came up with, oh, beware, because it's really, really bad rain. Hang on, I'm looking out the window. I can see it's raining. What are you on about? I don't need you to tell me that it by an alert on my phone that it's raining. I think we've gone completely mental with this whole thing. But it's all the plan. It's all the plan. Right, have a good day. Catch you later.